the Jewishness of Jesus of Nazareth is not only an issue of historical significance, it's also of profound biblical relevance, because if we're to interpret his sayings correctly so that we can walk in the light of his revelation, we must look at those sayings through first century Jewish spectacles and not through 21st century American spectacles, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant spectacles, Catholic spectacles, Eastern Orthodox spectacles. They all have perspectives that are valuable and often very close to the truth. But so much has been lost that God is trying to restore. And to restore it, he's opened the hearts of scholars in an unprecedented way, Jews and Christians, to collaborate in understanding the Jewishness of Jesus of Nazareth. Now, lest you think that these anti-Jewish feelings are just something of our distant past, I want to share just quickly one little story with you of how I personally encountered this. It is so deeply entrenched in the psyche of Christians that we need to consciously confront this in order to open ourselves up to have a positive view of the Torah, which we'll speak of in our next session, to have a positive view of this teaching of the sages about the Torah, which Yeshua draws upon, which we'll also explain, so that we too can relate to God's word in the way that Yeshua did and his disciples did. Many years ago, I received a letter from a lady who was getting our tapes, and she said, here's a little booklet I've read, and this scholar seems to say just the opposite of you, because he's arguing that Jesus was not a Jew, that in fact the Jews are the enemy of Christ and the enemy of God. And I'm confused. So I read the pamphlet, and I wrote her back, and I said, dear lady, I don't have time to go into all of this. It would be much too lengthy a response. But I said, bottom line is this man's analysis of the Gospels has no scholarly support among acknowledged New Testament scholars. And in fact, I'm sorry to say, I think it engenders fear and animosity against the Jews. Well, this sweet lady, maybe trying to help this man, sent him a copy of my letter. He wrote me back, and his letter is too lengthy to read also, but I want to just read to you a couple of sentences. He says the following to me: anyone who would back the worst enemies of God, when Christians have been warned over and over again to shun them, is not only reprehensible, but a traitor to his God and his people. Who are the worst enemies of God that he's talking about? The Jews. He says, you, sir, are not only a liar, you are also a prostitute to the worst enemies of Jesus Christ and are glorying in it. This makes you, in my estimation, worse than them. Another place he says, you support and strengthen God's worst enemies in the name of Christianity. He says, I have for many years been an avid seeker after truth, and truth with quotes around it. Interesting, he puts quotes around it. It has only been in recent years that I learned the truth about Judaism, doing it the hard way after having been brought up on Jewish myths of of my Judeo-Christian fundamental Baptist church. And finally he said, quote, I would make no attempt to change your thinking, for I would not want someone like you on our side. If you will sell out Jesus Christ now to his enemies, for whatever reason you may have, you would sell out his people when the final battle comes. We do not need traitors on our side. We need spirit-filled men who understand what the Apostle John wrote in his epistle.